Hi and welcome everyone to another episode of Hobo Prepper. I'm your host Friar Tuck. So I did an interview with Brigitte. You're gonna see that video. I hope that you have as much respect for her as I do. I saw her as an authority, and so I want to say as a prequel to the interview before we get started, is that you got to realize that English is not her first language, but the second thing is that she's very precise in her words, which is something that I truly value. But people who are precise aren't gonna speak really quick and string together kind of like how I do because I'm kind of excited. Boom, 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 boom. I'm going. But when you really think about what it is that you're saying, and plus trying to translate it from the language of her thoughts into the language that I can understand and you can understand, it takes a second for that to happen. So to the average person, they may say, "Oh, well, this is a very slow interview," but I would tell you that you are missing out on probably some of the most important nuggets that you will ever learn in your life if you are at all concerned about your health and your diet. Okay, and so we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna get into the interview. Stay tuned. There's a lot of nuggets in it. A lot of stuff you're gonna learn. And it's going to be accurate and it's going to be truthful and it's going to be founded on information. And plus, I am also going to put some of her notes and stuff like that down in the description because she was so detailed that she was actually able to write out the overall presentation. I am thoroughly impressed on how well she put this together. And quite frankly, she didn't need me. I could should have just turned on the camera and just let her talk. But anyways, enjoy the interview.
Bye-bye to it. So
Okay.
it's more of a comprehension and a general understanding of what we are needing to do because of what we are facing.
Okay. All right. So we are recording now. Let me grab the box because it's right here. Oh God. Ugh. All right. So I'm gonna start it off with the intro, and then I'm gonna introduce you. Uh, how would you like me to introduce you? First of all, like what credentials would you like me to use? Because my what I was going to use was just what I know of you through FIGU.
Yeah. So my profession, as you know, is in the language and the translation business. So I have 30 years of experience in dealing with all cultures, about 58 languages, and I've been doing that for 30 years. That led me to Billy because what I saw was different than what I would hear and feel. So there was a gap in my cognition, and I kept searching for many years. Of course, I always had that instinct, and so that's what led me to Billy.
Okay, yeah, definitely. I mean,
And I think they go together because of the experience.
so what you're saying is that because I know that Meyer talks a lot about like symbology and the harmonic resonance of words and how it has an interaction with our spirit and our overall personage. So you were experiencing that, and that's what brought you to Meyer?
No, of course, yeah. First of all, the most important thing in my job is to be accurate. Any information has to be correct, bulletproof. So accuracy was always on the top of my mind because, of course, you cannot deliver a wrong document, right? The lawyer would lose the case. The insurance company would not represent their insured people. So technology also was affected. So accuracy was always um, my focus. As a result, I always paid attention to details. And I would read these documents who make no sense and where people would, have them translated. Okay. The other aspect is the language training department that we have. So I would deal with people from other nationalities, uh, Middle East, Europe, Asia, uh, all of them. And I would see that they are very kind people. They are polite. It's not at all what the news was telling me about this country or that country or Iraq. Or so I was like, oh, there's something wrong here. The people are normal. They are really more polite than here sometimes because of their customs. Are very accommodating to the country, not rebellious, not terrorists. So, I was like, I'm in the wrong country, or I'm in the wrong environment. Something is off. Then, on a personal basis, of course, I did yoga for a long time, but I had that itch behind me. I had a feeling that, and this is something that came on me when I was younger. I said I was here for a special purpose. I just knew it. I just couldn't put the two and two together all the time. I thought traveling, not traveling physically, but traveling through the office, I would find a solution, but it didn't come. It had to come with Billy.
So would you say that those people that are that have been into the Meyer material or just getting into the Meyer material because they're searching for truth, would you kind of say that in some ways it's almost like a predisposed calling? Because just like me, when I was growing up, yeah, I was exposed to Christianity and because that's what was around me, but I've always had this burning desire for the truth and the facts above all else, more than my emotions, more than anything else, because that's more important to me, to know the truth and how things really work than the way I want things to work. So I'm just wondering, just what your opinion is on that.
Yeah. I mean, it's like having a scratch on you all the time. You know something is not right. That there's something is missing. You can try to find it through religion. Through me, it was languages. I thought if I knew the whole world, I would find it. So you have to do a lot of studies, which is what Billy did. It took everything. And once you do that, you realize, but it's still not complete. And then the light comes up and you get tired for searching, right? You have to do a lot of work to search it. You cannot just take what's given to you. First, you don't feel good about it. You kind of like, if you practice pure observation, you go, this is not right, or this I don't feel good, or oh really? That's the way. I mean, we are bombarded with that. So you have to go through those stages. You have to go through a lot of crap to get there in a way. You have to absorb all of it, and then you you see you can compare. If you don't have anything to compare with, or if you don't listen to your feelings, you're gonna continue, and then that's it. Once you are involved, as age goes on, you cannot get out.
Wow, so that's interesting. Just kind of, I don't. It's very rare that I actually get to come in contact with other people that have studied and experienced the Meyer material, but just to hear how you portray this, it's interesting, and it's kind of like it's a lot to unpack all at once too. I mean, you got to sit there. You can have. Have you met Meyer in person?
No, I haven't gone to the center. Um, you know, I know who he is. I feel him. I feel his message. I don't know. It's like I already know him, so I don't have a deep desire to chase, and say, oh, I know Billy Meyer. It's already in me. So I'm doing my work here because I don't know. It's like I already know him.
Yeah, he's the Rosetta Stone to kind of help point you in the right direction so that you can go on your current experiences.
I
So
have everything, everything.
so wow. Not too often do people make me speechless, just so you know. I am known for being a talker. But that was all right. So let's go ahead and get into the overall interview. Um, so I kind of want to start with uh with kind of a progression. So most people right now, if they're, starting to see the writing on the walls, are starting to prep, they're starting to go, okay, all this is coming on. If they're smart enough, they're going to see the consequences, or at least be able to foresee a chain of events that's going to lead them to a place where they may not really want to be, so they can start preparing to kind of divert that and go into a different direction. And I think a lot of it starts with, because I'm noticing that in my training to be able to do the biking, it's a lot more than just, oh, make sure you eat well while you're riding. It's a lot more than just, make sure you do this and this. There's a lot of nutrition that goes into it, so that when you get on that bike for the first time, that your muscles don't cramp up on you, you don't crap out, and you either don't overhydrate or underhydrate yourself and stuff like that. So let's start from the beginning. What suggestions would you give somebody to kind of help tailor a diet to not only their needs and what it is that they're trying to accomplish? Because what you're trying to accomplish and what I'm trying to accomplish, it's a little bit different, even though we're both trying to kind of get to the same end point.
Yeah. So in your particular case, Jason, you are you are doing a complete new lifestyle. It's a very unique lifestyle because you are rebuilding from scratch a new way of operating. So you're going to have a lot of transition. It's going to be very transformational for you. You Everything that you have known will have to go away if you are going to use the nomadic approach. First of all, there's hardly anyone doing it. So you have nothing that you can compare yourself to. Yeah, we can watch documentaries on nomadic, how they travel, which usually is always in the winter. But we live in the United States. We have to deal with a different system. So the first thing is to say goodbye to everything you know up until today. That's going to take a rewiring of the brain. You have to navigate through all of these things. So you have to armor yourself with your body. And you mentioned it in one of your videos. Your new car, your new home is your body at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So if everything we have been eating and receiving is not conducive to building this new car, which is your body, then we have to make a cross on just about 90% of it. The first thing to do is to avoid any junk food.
Oh, that's my Achilles heel. I am a chocoholic. I mean, you can bribe me with chocolate, I'll do anything.
No, you can have a very good chocolate. Chocolate is very good for you. It has to be of good quality. A simple, good, dark, 90% cocoa chocolate is very healthy for you. It's an antidepressant.
Can you explain that a little bit more? Because I'm sure that there may be quite a few other chocoholics like me. I prefer milk chocolate, but
Me
I
too.
can, my stepmom's getting me into the dark chocolate because of her paleo cooking. Um, but like, what are the benefits of having the dark chocolate, and why would you not want to have milk chocolate?
Well, it's the more you process food, the less the authenticity of the food you receive. So when you mix chocolate with milk and other dairy products, you are not having as much chocolate because they have to add milk to it.
Mm-hmm.
So a nice chunk of dark chocolate is potent. It's more bitter, which is what the nature of a chocolate is. It's when you add the sugar and the milk, it becomes, oh yeah, it's tasty. I love milk chocolate. But
Oh,
you have to balance it out, you know.
okay, but and the health effects, because you were saying something like as an
Antidepressant,
antidepressant. Okay,
antioxidant.
oh, antioxidant in what way? And like I know everything should be used in moderation. So what would be a good moderation to have, like if you wanted to use it as that type of fuel?
1 piece a day.
One piece, that's it. Like what is one
Yeah.
piece? Because I mean,
One, you know, you comes in a chocolate bar, you take one square.
okay, so just like even I'm used to seeing like the Hershey's bars, but they're or the Garibaldi where they do the triangle chunks.
So we want to say goodbye to all those brands.
Okay.
We want to say hello to the 90% pure chocolate.
Okay, and how are you finding these brands? Because I'm sure a lot of people they would like to, but they don't know where to look.
Yeah, it's there. It's there. But once we eliminate all the things we cannot buy, then your consciousness gonna go on the things that you can buy. But it's always there. It's just that we have a habit of buying those brands that we are grew up with, that were given as gifts, that your mom gave you. It's we have to say bye bye. So the next time you go to a grocery store, you will see 90% cocoa. It's on the label.
Okay, so um, if we were going in a point where we're starting to get our diet together, are we eating before we start the exercise, because it starts before then, as I'm learning the hard way. Um, so what would you have, like a high protein diet? How would you balance your diet out to make sure that not only uh, you can have the energy the next morning, but be
Mhm.
able to be able to maintain your energy during the process.
Correct. So we said to avoid buying junk food. You
Hmm.
have to resist those temptations. That means you're gonna find yourself with an empty stomach, according to the way we buy, right? If you don't buy, you're gonna. So an empty stomach will have more value than a stomach filled with junk food.
Okay.
Okay. So let's start from the beginning. So if we avoid buying junk food, what do what stores do we need to avoid now? We need to
All of them.
avoid all the convenience stores, all the fast food restaurants. So again, you end up with an empty stomach. That's 90% of where we go shopping. A convenience store is maybe a banana you could buy in there or a lemon. But if you look at the row, it's all packaged food. Even the the energizer bar, all of that, it's absolutely not good for you.
What about like little meat and cheese that they have, like the not the Slim Jims, but the next step up? You know, where they have like the little protein pack where it's like a like a piece of jerky and a piece of cheese.
If it's in a box, in a package, just stay away from it.
Okay.
Okay. So now no more convenience stores, no more fast food. The other thing is we first delete, okay, because we are rebuilding everything. Brand names. When you go to the grocery store, avoid all of those brand names. There's anything that has a nice package that's colorful. You know the money goes into the package. It doesn't go into the food that's inside the box. So anything that looks appealing with designs and I don't know, all the stuff, you just say goodbye to that. You look for simple boxes.
Okay.
Okay. The other thing is don't let yourself be tempted by uncontrollable cravings. You know, we all have cravings. So when you go to the shopping for the grocery store, don't go on an empty stomach because you're going to have cravings. You're going to buy more because on that moment, your mind is on the food. Always go in a full stomach.
Okay.
Okay. So now that we delete it, what is it that I need, right? So now you are going to understand, and this is what you ask about, what food are best for the immune system.
Well, not just the immune system, but just like for your muscle health, because like you need oxygen to your muscles, and if you get oxygen depletion, that's what leads to fatigue.
Yeah, but that's because of the food. There's no energy in junk food.
Hmm.
You'll get more tired. It's okay to eat one classic bag of potato chips. You know, the classic one is okay. It's every other flavor that they put in there. That's where you want to stay away. If you have to buy a bag of chips, get the classic ones.
Okay.
Okay. So, but we do need to speak about the immune system because that is your car. The immune system is what preserves the structure of the body, the muscles, the digestive system, the clarity of the brain. So the immune system defends the body against all these outside substances. So it's your armor. And it continuously, the immune system, if it's taken care of, it continuously eliminates abnormal and vicious cells. It just gets rid of them. So you don't have to do anything. As long as you give it the right, it will clean itself automatically. That's the job of the immune system.
It seems like all of nature's even that way. I mean, the amount of waste disposal and stuff like that that the planet does, and I mean, I wonder what the universe does. But anyways, keep going.
Yeah, it's like a river, you know, when it gushes in the beginning, it's very dirty. But when you go down the river, it gets clean, beautiful, transparent because the process of the elimination of the dirt with time. And that's what your immune system does the same thing. It rejects. It also gives you antibodies, very specific antibodies. And those are called killer cells. You need those killer cells to kill the things that are not good for it. So it's a very important. Animals have it, and the humans have it.
Okay.
Okay. So now we're gonna put the good, or we're gonna give it that the most attention. So remember, we have an empty stomach. We need to fill it up. When it's empty, and whatever you give it, your cells are going to be the first one to say, that's for me. No, this is for me. That's for me. They're going to want that. They're going to look for that. So you want to give it the best so that they go to the right places. So that means that when you do have the food in front of you, you're going to have to remember to keep it as raw as possible or lightly steamed. Ideally, okay, I'm giving you the ideal situation.
Okay.
If you boil your vegetables for hours and hours, there won't be anything left in them.
Mm-hmm.
So since you have nothing, you have to give it the most potent thing. Raw food is the most potent one. If you're going to be a nomadic person, it's perfect for you because you can always buy a carrot, you can always buy an onion, you can always buy a broccoli. Eating it as you wash it, of course, but eating it raw, that's it's going to be good for your teeth because the chewing is good for the gums. And if you want to, you can always steam it a little bit. Okay,
I
that's
ha- I have a question on vegetables. 'Cause, what I was always told is that like when you pick a tomato from the vine, it immediately loses like 25% of its nutrients within the first couple of minutes. So how long until all of a sudden your vegetable becomes like nutrient neutral, or it's not really giving you anything because it's been off the vine for so long?
yeah. Tomatoes, unfortunately, none of them have good taste. Doesn't matter how beautiful they look. They are made to look good, but they have zero taste. I've tried all of them. There's no satisfaction in a tomato.
Okay.
So Others, and they're expensive. It's like sometimes $1 or $2 for a tomato. It's not
My
worth
my stepmom has been growing some because they got a family property and they've got a garden going and they've started harvesting some of the tomatoes. She's absolutely loved it, but she's been buying heirloom seeds. She's not buying
it. Yes,
she's
yes.
not buying the GMO.
Yes, heirlooms are the best in the sense that you can, because the hydrates, there's a lot of hydrates today, but that when you replant the hydrates, the fruit is not as good. So an heirloom, first of all, you can keep the seeds for like 7 years.
Oh, really? Okay, good to know.
Yeah, yeah. And don't when you have an expiration date on the seeds, don't listen to that. That's another way for you to buy more. I have studied that, and um, there's a gentleman who compared all the seeds, and yes, his heirloom seeds stayed for a maximum of 7 years.
Okay, so now we've gotten to the vegetables. What are the power vegetables that are good for us?
Okay, so we are going to do that next. We are now at the immune system level. What is going to make it work, right? So raw food and steamed. Spices. Spices are very good for you. Pepper, cumin, coriander, turmeric, all your classic spices. The other thing is good, it's very good for you is yogurt. Now the yogurt, if you go to the regular store, it's got flavors, it's got sugar, we say goodbye to those as well. You have to get the pure, plain, 100% plain yogurt, nothing in it. You can add a little bit of sugar yourself, you can add the fruit yourself, but do not buy it with that in it. That voids the food for it doesn't propel the body to go further.
So every meal, regardless of how much, even if you pick up a thing of yogurt, you're gonna want to do some form of preparing. That's kind of what's letting you know that you're on the right track and that you're eating a less processed food, correct?
Yeah, you select first. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
And of course, do not buy any food that's processed.
Yeah,
No
that
frozen dinner, no nothing.
it's easier said than done on a lot of in a lot of cases, though. I mean, a lot of people don't have the opportunity or haven't taken the opportunity to to grow their food and stuff like that. There are places that you can go, but they're very, very hard to find, and you usually find them by word of mouth. Like if you want some good butchers for unprocessed meats and stuff like that.
Yeah, so you just you get you're gonna have to think how it was processed, how but the standard processing you don't want it. There's no energy in it.
What is it in the processing? What is it in the process that's actually harmful? Why is
I
it
think
bad?
they probably, if it's cheap, it's going to be the bad part of the animal. It's going to be, who knows? If it's too cheap, it cannot be good for you.
Okay. Um,
So just don't buy it. Just stay right now. We had the raw food, raw vegetables. We're going to build up. Don't worry. We're going to build up. But we want to say bye-bye to a lot of things first.
okay.
Because that is what has been in our impression for all our life. And that takes a lot of awareness to say no, no, and not, today it's okay. I did well yesterday. I'll just buy this today. Oh, I'm in a rush. I don't have time for that. No, we cannot do that. Okay. So now you mentioned what else is there? What can I do now? I say goodbye to 90% of everything. So we have to delete one thing and replace it with something else, which is 10 times better. So what I'm going to give you are the ideal situations. And then from there, you make your way down.
Okay.
That way, in your mind, this is the top. And then from there, it's, if you have 100% here and you settle for 50%, and then eventually maybe you'll realize that selling for 10% is really bad, you don't feel it, then use that 900%.
Okay.
Okay, because it takes a training. Okay. Um, okay. First of all, let me give you what strengthens the immune system. What is medicine for the body? The first thing, and I know you don't have it, but it's okay. As you buy your greens, you're gonna remember this because this is green inside. Look,
Okay, I see.
it looks like grass,
Yeah.
right? Okay, this is called Moringa leaf powder.
Okay, and
Moringa.
what is that? What does it do?
Okay, Moringa is what strengthens the immune system. It's Moringa tree is a medicinal tree. It grows extremely quickly, about like 3 meters each year, very quick. It's good against diabetes, hypertension, AIDS. It's extremely rich in vitamin C and calcium.
So where does this plant grow native at?
Right now, a lot of it grows in Asia,
Okay.
like Thailand, and but if you want to become rich in America, invest in moringa trees. It will be the future, the food of the medicine of the future.
So let's look at the environment here in the States. Is there anything comparable in our local ecosystem that we could use if you're out on the road, you got to make your own stuff? What would you use in place of that if you couldn't get the moringa?
Right. So we'll go to that next.
Sure.
But it's something to remember because as the food shortages will come down, we're gonna need. And you mentioned to me, we have to make our own medicine. In the future, people will pick up on this. So anyone, let's say, you decide not to travel for a year, you can grow moringa trees. They grow really fast. You can process the leaves. You can. It's something we'll have to study, but it's up and coming food.
Okay.
Okay, so um, the seeds also are very oily. They can be used for as a lubricant and for fuel machinery. I mean, it's a very, very expensive um, utilization of the moringa. You can clean dirty water with moringa. You can remove all the chemicals. Like let's say if your water is polluted, which if you look at the shows today, they use a lot of algae, a lot of things to clear the water because that's what algae does. That's what it's a purifier. So now we also need to remember that the body needs vitamins and minerals. That's very essential for us. And we don't get it from all the foods we receive. We have to take it in also. So vitamin A. So you say, what food can I get? So we want to keep the immune system, give it food. So vitamin A. So vitamin A is found in pork liver and all the vegetables, all your carrots, your tomatoes, if they are, tasty, because they look good, but they're not tasty. Your spinach, your kales, your green beans, your broccoli, your lettuce, that's vitamin A.
Okay, so anything pretty much green or on the vine is gonna be vitamin A.
Yeah. Vitamin A is necessary for your vision. You need to see where you're going. You won't have glasses all the time with you with time. It keeps the mucous membrane healthy. And again, it's an antioxidant, vitamin A.
Does eating like if you start a heavy diet on vitamin A, will it improve your eyesight over time or at least reduce the overall decline?
Yeah, So you know, these I have reading glasses. So I have it's a, you know, when you buy reading glasses, it's like 1 and then 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
This is 1.5.
Okay.
So at 58 years old, I'm 58. I went to the eye doctor the other day because that's where I get my physical, at the eye doctor.
Okay.
And he says, okay, there's nothing wrong with you. I say, I'll just need a little bit for reading. So it really keeps your I don't have any need for glasses. These are $1.50, $2 at the store. So yeah. Vitamin B6, okay? That's the second one.
Mm-hmm.
So that you find in sardines.
Okay.
Your meat again, your beef, your pork, your chicken.
Okay.
Red peppers, green vegetables again, you know, sprouts, cabbage, greens, whole wheat products like whole wheat breads, bananas, potatoes, um, nuts, walnuts, vitamin B6. Third one that the body really responds to is zinc. Zinc, again, you find zinc in meat, oysters, eggs, milk, all your dairy products, sprouted seeds, again, your nuts. So that's another one you get. It activates the immune system as an antioxidant, and it's mostly found in animal food, the zinc. So that means you cannot be vegetarian, okay? Very important. You don't get it from plant food, the zinc. The last one is selenium. Selenium is also found in meat, fish, eggs, cabbage, your onions, your lentils, your asparagus, mushrooms, nuts. That one, selenium, it protects against damaging the cells. Because as you know, with COVID, when the cells are damaged, some of them do not get repaired.
Okay. So selenium is gonna what help repair your cells? Is that what you're saying?
It fights against damage. It doesn't repair them because when they are destroyed, you cannot repair them. It fights against damaging them, so it maintains the cell.
So kind of relate this in muscle form. So you're having to walk, you got an 80-pound pack on your back, you're biking, whatever it is during that situation. Uh, is it kind of like because as you're exerting yourself, your muscles are tearing. So is this to kind of keep everything together and help enhance your overall muscle growth, or is this not play into that at all?
Well, for example, if you go on the bicycle and you hurt yourself, you need to heal quickly.
Hmm.
If you don't heal quickly, you're down for 3 days.
Oh, okay, I get it now.
So that is going to, once you have a damage in your body, it's gonna, okay, no problem. To one day, 24 hours, it already healed itself. Because what comes out is um, it's the good stuff. It
Okay.
doesn't allow to thinking more and say, oh my God, I got no cells, all my cells inside are damaged. I can't, I need definitely go to the doctor. You can't do that, right?
And so
So
we're getting selenium from meat, nuts, and like eggs, dairy, stuff like that.
yeah, so anything you already have around you. But
Okay.
the only thing is that we don't associate the benefits of those foods with what it does to us. So that's why we end up with junk food
Okay.
because we don't understand the power of those what nature already has. We need to gain knowledge in that. Next time you eat a carrot, you will know, wow, all the benefits of this one carrot. So your awareness is going to be more on a beneficial effort. First of all, you're going to stay relaxed knowing that you eat a good carrot. So mentally, you're going to say, no, I'm strong now. I ate my carrot. I can go. So you're going to have the confidence of going.
And on another, and even people like me, I mean, I look at my body as a machine. I'm gonna be a mechanic. I'm gonna sit there. I'm gonna tinker with it. So as you notice things that are going right or wrong, knowing your foods and the vitamins that they give you and the minerals that they give you is important, just to be able to fix yourself up. So so me, eggs. From what I understand, eggs is probably one of the most beneficial things that we can eat.
Eggs, your vegetables, your lentils, your onions, everything that's in the store,
Okay.
except what we said, the processed food, because they have now taken the real thing. I don't know what they did to it, but it's not what you saw as a real carrot. It may have the word carrot, but doesn't have the content or the benefits of it. So first of all, you're going to waste your money and you're not going to have any benefits. So why?
Okay. So we're basically paying for we're paying for animal feed in a lot of ways. Just something to put weight on our stomach so that we can get fattened up and led to the slaughter.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, I would have I watched I watched some guy out of Australia maybe like 10 years ago who was talking about foods like this. So this is probably the second time I've ever been exposed to this, but I never really I think that a lot of people, they kind of have to be in the mindset or in the uh have the awareness of like, okay, I need to use this for how I want to be able to structure my life and make sure that my body is able to carry me through that.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
um
Okay. So the other thing is uh, we know that we need animal products, right? Now we understand that not everything comes from the vegetables. So being a vegan or being a vegetarian is not going to do you any good.
is this why we see them so sick all the time? Is because they're killing their immune system?
They replace vegan by eating a lot of carbohydrates.
And that's sugar, right?
Yeah, and all those salty nuts, a lot of crackers and salt, a lot of salt, a lot of packaged food. They replace that with one another because they think they're vegetarian. They allow themselves the carbohydrates or the salty snacks, and it kills the whole thing. It's
So speaking of that, especially the salt, so I was learning something this morning that is talking about like your electrolytes and replacing them. Yeah, part of it's salt, but I forget the it's like potassium and I forget what the third one was. But those are usually what we end up becoming deficient on. But from what I'm understanding is that we need to be able to have a little bit of salt. Like, is there natural salt in these vegetables, or is it going to give us the same thing, or should we be adding salt to our food from time to time? Because I'm one of those people, I absolutely detest salt unless it's on buttered popcorn.
hmm I mean, yeah, we are 70% water, the body, right?
Hmm.
It's just water. So you need a variety of salts. You can get Himalayan salt, you can get iodine salt, you can get sea salt. The fish, if it comes from the ocean, it's got the natural salt. Oysters are salty, mussels are salty, sardines are salty. So you can get the salts indirectly, but you want to put a little bit of salt in your body. Yes, it's important.
Okay, so we can get it from natural, so it's not like we have to go out there and add it an additional artificially.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, no. I mean, if what you buy, if it's already salty, yeah, you don't need to add it.
Okay.
So we don't want to have one balanced diet. So that means, Jason, when you travel, you will not eat meat every day
No.
because you will not be able to. So the recommendation is, Billy says, you can do about 10 days vegetarian, but then after that, you're gonna need to eat some chicken, or you're gonna need to eat the dry meat. You're gonna need to eat some type of ground beef or some type of steak, or you're gonna need to eat or some fish, some sardines, or something.
So make
So
some dirty
don't feel
rice.
bad, huh?
So make some dirty rice.
Yeah, exactly. So you need that, but you can do 10 days with just the vegetarian. After that, the body needs the other elements.
Okay, so in vegetarian, that would be like if I wanted to have beans and rice
Yeah,
for my protein and
we're
my
gonna do that.
carbs.
That's coming up next.
Okay.
Everything is included today.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I don't mean to keep. I'm not trying to push you along. I'm trying to follow along, and it seems like I
Yeah,
keep
yeah, yeah.
asking for the next.
I
So,
thought from A to Z, so you all covered today.
all right. Yeah. Hey, I like this. You're one of the best interviews I've done. So
All
keep
right.
going.
Okay, so then they tell you protein rich food. You know, you need a lot of protein. Okay, the protein has the property that your hunger is going to be satisfied more quickly and long lasting. So therefore you feel you full very quickly, which means you're going to eat less. However, if you eat too much protein rich food, the process cannot be used for a very long time because you're going to have deficiency or the symptoms are going to come up. Since you are full very quickly, you're not going to want to eat.
Hmm.
And that's not good.
Okay, so I have some questions here because I'm about 10 years ago I had a doctor give me the wrong medication, like strip my insides, and I went through a period of time where I didn't eat for like 6 days. My getting myself to eat sometimes is really hard. And so what I found to do is I usually go anywhere between 100 and 150 grams of protein a day is my ideal amount. I have a lot of protein in the morning, and I'll probably have a lot of protein at night. I don't get very much in the morning, but I pretty much do a heavy protein diet. So what you're saying is that may actually be counterintuitive to me. In what way? Like, what for someone else who's seeing this going, well, I wonder if I'm eating too much protein. What would they see to help them realize how much they're having, or if they're having too much?
Yeah, so when you feel full very quickly, you just eat a little bit and go, oh, I'm full now.
Oh, really? So that means that you've had too much protein?
Mhm.
I always thought that was a good sign.
No, because since you are full quickly, you're not allowing room for other things, some more vegetables or some more, uh, more salads or more fruit, which has all those other vitamins we mentioned above. You just eat protein. Um, you feel full, so you're gonna go on a bike, but you're not gonna have the fuel inside.
Yeah, and I think that may have been what caused me to fall out the first time. So,
So you don't want to do it for a long time because you're gonna deplete yourself. You're gonna have all the symptoms will come up. Okay, so um, now let's do one thing. You live in a hot area with a lot of humidity,
mhm.
and the global warming is happening. So how do we stay cool, right?
Mm, big question.
Yeah. Um, if you look at the animal world, what do animals do when they are hot?
They usually lay under the shade and like take a nap.
Mhm. And what do? They pant.
Yeah, but
To
from
stay
what
cool.
I've always been told that the reason why they pant is because they don't sweat like we do. If they sweated, they wouldn't need to pant. Is that wrong?
Well, what I'm saying is they are not starting to run around crazy in the yard, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
They stay cool. Yeah, they pant. that they panting is a form of staying cool. So the humans, they need to stay cool by doing light work also that don't require exhaustion. Overheating is what causes the strokes, the heat strokes. So that's going to limit you in what you can do.
Okay.
Now, you do light work. We need fluids. What is the best fluid you can put that gives you everything in just one tiny sip, right? That's the idea. Coconut water. Coconut water contains all the electrolytes that you need. It is the perfect drink for rehydrating the body if you lose too much fluid.
Really?
Or if you sweat too much, or if you vomit, or if you have diarrhea.
So coconut water, okay. I did not know that. I know that coconut, they're finding a lot of added benefits from coconut. Even the oils I use are used with coconut oil.
If your stomach if you have complaints in your stomach, like indigestations, gastrointestinal infections, coconut water is recommended to drink.
Okay.
It is very rich in vitamin C, the potassium, the magnesium. It's proven to regulate the blood pressure.
Huh.
Coconut water does not contain cholesterol. It doesn't contain fat. That means it's very beneficial for the cardiovascular system, especially the heart. It cleans the heart.
That is okay. I will have to if I stop at a store and I'm gonna get something, I will start looking into coconut water. Because honestly, I've been looking. I've been finding out like these electrolyte drinks are just as bad for you as drinking a Coke. Yeah, they give you some salt, but they're not giving you the potassium and the other stuff, and then they're loading you up on sugar, which it's good, but it's not good.
Yeah, yeah. Coconut water is good for people who want to lose weight. But it really keeps you cool and rehydrates. It's good against headache. It brings the pH back. It balances the pH level because we have a lot of stress, a lot of toxic exposure. The diet is very rich in acid forming foods. We have a lot of acidic food, a lot of processed food, fast food. You need to balance things out. So yeah, you're gonna have a little bit some days of processed food, but remember, if you drink some coconut water, you will be able to rebalance the pH against the acidic food that you ate.
Okay.
So when you have too much acid in the food, the body cannot absorb those vitamins that we spoke about earlier because it's too acidic. And the minerals are not absorbed. It's like it's repulsive.
Okay.
And if you have too much acid, as you know, you have liver stress, you have rheumatism, arthritis, you have osteoporosis. When we have too much acid, we have diabetes, high blood pressures, immune deficiency. Anyway, the whole fashionable diseases, all the things we have today, too much acid. The coconut water also regulates the blood sugar.
Okay.
It has fiber. It has amino acid to regulate the insulin in your body.
Okay.
It helps fight unnecessary diseases. It's a disease repellent.
Okay. So we've got the coconut water for hydration. We've got, as far as dealing with the heat, we should do light work. We should hide in the shade. We should pant if necessary if we're starting to feel overheated. Um, at what point would an individual be able? Because I think that sometimes, because we have so many amenities of having these four walls around us, that we forget to even listen to our body. That's why so many of us have so many different medications that we get. Uh, and so I'm wondering if what are the warning signs somebody could see that maybe they may not recognize. So, for example, with me, when I have my panic attacks, one of the first warning signs I get is my hands start shaking. That's when all of a sudden I should start being alert. So for somebody like it took me a lot of years to recognize that. So as far as dealing with heat, how what would be the triggers that you would tell them to keep an eye out for?
Yeah. So we want to compare when we are in a non-heated situation versus in a heated situation. You will have signs, like you say, your hands were shaking. For me, if I'm in a very extreme heated, I see, but I don't see. It's like I have a vision,
A
like
haze.
I'm so detached from reality. What is it called?
A haze.
A haze. When you have the haze and you have lightheaded and you can, it's like being in a dream. You're not really there. That's the sign for me.
But I think at
That,
that point in time, that would be the point of like, okay, it's gone too far. Like before that, is there anything like before you start seeing the haze? Because when you start seeing that haze, that's when it starts getting dangerous, correct?
I mean, that's when I stop when I see the haze and I feel, okay, now I gotta go in. I've tested myself. You have to test yourself, you know. I can take, of course, with Billy, you know, I do. I can take a lot of heat because I stay calm. I the meditation really helps a lot during
Really?
heat waves. Yeah, meditation, because you are not fighting it. You are going along with it. So you slow down and you are welcoming it. If you keep telling yourself, "Oh, it's hot today. It's so hot today. I can't do this," your body is it contradicts what you are experiencing. So you are exasperating the event. But if you say, "Okay, it's hot. I'm gonna accept it," you are going along with the flow. Another way I used to do, not anymore, but to stay cool, I would say, "Oh my goodness, it's so cold today. What a cold day." I would say the opposite. And he allowed me to stay cool.
Yeah, I
It's
actually.
freezing. It's freezing. I just don't know what to do. And next thing you know, I don't feel the heat because my consciousness is on the cold.
Yeah, I had to do that to my old man this morning. He's like, "It's hot outside," because he asked. I was like, "It's 89." He's like, "It's hot outside." I'm like, "No, it's not. This is going to be the most beautiful week we've had." Because here in Florida, it's rare that it gets under 90, and so for like the next week, it's going to be 90 or below. So I'm all excited, and the old man's just like, "It's hot." He can't handle it out there. I sit out there most of the day.
That's why it creates that. And you know, whatever you give out, you get back, right? So it gets the heat even more because he confronts it.
Yeah, it's amazing the amount of influence the mind has on a lot of things. I mean, uh, just I one day I will probably I hope to read the Might of Thought so that I can actually understand this. But I just, from everything that I've observed and from what I've watched and from what I've experienced on myself, it seems like the human mind is way more influential. They're even saying, even when it comes to sports, that it's not really about conditioning. It's not about your muscles. It's not about anything else like that. It's about the mental preparedness that you have that pushes you to the finish line that will give you that world record. It has nothing to do with your training regimen other than the fact that your body is able to handle the stress that you put on it, because it's like 90% mind over matter.
Always. Yeah. That's why you want to create a good mental state.
And that is hard. It's one of the things I've been trying to talk about a lot on the channel, but I don't think I've hit the nail on the head just yet.
It's coming next.
Okay.
Okay, so we want to have, of course, because we've been brought up in such a heavy, loaded, negative energy. Everything is bad. Everything we have to do now opposite, and that takes retraining of the brain. So since we've been born, we've been born with a sin. We've been born with all those blah blah blah, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to build up the positive thoughts and the positive feelings. So we continue to eliminate. So we want to eliminate at this stage on the mental level. We want to eliminate hatred. We want to eliminate envy, egoism. We want to eliminate sorrows, worries, unfulfilled hopes, wishes, all that stuff. We have to say bye-bye.
Can I ask you a question on that? So I know the average person, they're like, okay, well, I need to get rid of that, and then they become more overbearing on themselves because like, oh, I'm not allowed to get angry. I need to not do this. There is a healthy angry, and then there is an unhealthy angry.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I mean, it's not you can't just it's not oh it's a blanket statement. You don't get angry. What it is it's more or less because this is what's helped me stay out of the hospital for the last decade is that you kind of got to put your brain in like that zen. You got to realize that you're going to get anger, but you flow with it. You don't let it consume you. You don't let it become a part of you. You just realize that that's an experience. It's a knee-jerk reaction. Now get back to the center.
Right. So in order to recognize which anger is good, which one is not good, that is why Benny suggests and recommends, and Michael Horn too, to do the daily. There's it's called the daily state uh, of meditation. It's a practice, and you will find it on the blog. It's the most important meditation of all. It allows you to bring up that emotion, whatever it could be. My mom didn't call me today. Why doesn't this? Uh, why isn't my brother calling me? Or whatever the feeling you got out of that thought, right? Because it begins with the thought, then you have the feeling, and then you bold up,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when you bold up, you have to wonder what caused this bolding up. So you have to go back, but it comes in split seconds.
Very
It's
much so.
internal. You have to listen to the first thought. Because once it's like fishing, you got to hook it up. Okay, what created that feeling in me? And that is explained in the daily state, the daily state of meditation. It's on the dayflyblog.com. It's
I'll
very
try and look that.
specific. It's very specific steps. Overall, what you do is you catch that thought, what caused it. Oh, you repeat it to yourself. My brother didn't call me. I'm upset now. Then you replace that by something else. Immediately you go, but I'm not responsible for him. He's responsible for himself. Oh, good. I'm free now. Then you go back again to the same thought. My brother didn't call me. I'm upset now, but I'm not responsible for that. He's responsible for himself. Whatever, you replace it with another neutral positive thought, and then you release yourself, say, oh, I'm free now. That's my reward. So it's a 4-step meditation. And that's 24 hours because we are full of thoughts, right?
Yeah. I don't do something like that, but I do something very similar. Just it's been something I've used as a coping mechanism, which is if I get angry at something, I stop. I withdraw, I go to myself, I do a lot of self-reflection, get down to the root of it, figure out why it is that I'm angry. Sometimes it's like, oh, well, it's my fault, I shouldn't be angry, or oh, well, this is what's going on. Okay, so now I need to recognize this moving forward. But I do something similar, but I think that may be more beneficial what you're doing. I'm just, you know.
Yeah, because the mind is full of junk. It's thought. You can't get anything out of it. You can only process it. So that's why I don't tell myself it's my fault. I shouldn't be thinking this. I don't add that more burden. I just process it. I recognize it. I repeat it to make sure, because believe it or not, when you want to catch the thoughts, you forget exactly what it is that you just thought about. You have to go back to get to the feeling, right? Well, what was it that gave me that feeling? Sometimes we forget in split seconds what caused the feeling because we don't go in introvertly. But the meditation definitely to keep you cool against the heat, because it allows you to cope with the everyday stress, the problems. It calms you. When you stay calmer, you're not creating heat. Human beings create heat. If you put 50 people in a room, it's gonna get hot.
Yes, very much so.
So if you stay calm, you will keep your inner temperature at a good rate. Um, so you can also control your, sometimes when it's too hot, you don't sleep as well.
Yeah, I've noticed that, like, uh, even so, I slept outside for a couple of days, in my tent. You probably seen a couple of videos, but I think after I came in after that second or third day, like I didn't realize like how badly I slept. I actually was dizzy. I was down for like a day and a half after that because I thought it was dehydration at first until I took a nap, and I'm like, no, I was just really tired because you don't realize like when you sleep, even though you think you're asleep, you're not necessarily always asleep.
That's right. This is why meditation is good, because it controls your sleep requirement. If you are in bed and not sleeping but meditating, that's a form of sleep. You are getting that deep relaxation of the body. And eventually, once you meditate, within 5 minutes, you will fall asleep
Yeah,
because
I've
you
used
are
that. Yeah.
switching your mind to something that's, like it's more conducive to resting. Also, when you meditate, you get rid of habits because you're doing one thing and not another thing. So you're controlling them. But in any case, the meditation it can definitely uh, have influence on the body, on the temperature of the body, and it makes you more neutral. You're not like, oh, it's too hot, I cannot do this. It's so hot. It just makes you more neutral towards heat and cold.
Okay, yeah, because I think my biggest Achilles, I mean, as much as I complain about the heat, wait till you see it get cold this winter. Watch how much I complain.
Right.
Oh, I'm originally from Oregon, where I'm used to pouring down rain for 3 weeks at a time, and it's like a mist, a little bit more than a mist, but a little bit less than a drizzle, with like 10-mile-an-hour winds at about 37 degrees, and like even through your gloves, I mean, it just manages to get into every fiber. So yeah,
Yeah,
whenever I
that's
think of
going to be a
cold,
whole different session when we hit the cold.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And Billy said extreme heat, extreme cold. Those are the things we're going to have.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is because it seems like the country itself, if you're down south, it's going to be extreme. It's going to be extreme heat. If you're up north, you're going to move into extreme cold.
Mhm.
There are certain pockets of the country, like let's say San Francisco, where it's absolutely paradise year round. Doesn't it stays about 55 to 75. It's always great. But it's very rare to find a place that isn't one extreme or the other.
Yeah, those are the things we have to prepare ourselves. Yeah. Yeah, it's the third millennium, the second decade of the third millennium, which is after 2020. Everything is going to speed.
Yeah, and we're starting to see it just with the fires that happened last year in the desert. I mean, we're losing half of our growing land just because of what's going on in California and the Midwest.
Mhm. Yeah, this is why you want to invest in the most potent things with the least amount of money for the best benefits. And these are things that most people are not aware of, you know.
So something that I did, just out of since we're on the topic of nutrition and stuff and being outside, when I was younger, my mom, she had this book of mushrooms, and we used to go out and pick mushrooms. And my favorites were always like the puffball mushrooms because we'd bread them up and fry them, and it was like having a steak. Like how important, like what role does mushrooms play, or is it just something to kind of make you feel better?
Yeah, mushroom, you know, when you saute them, they have the texture of meat.
Yeah, it was something. I was like 6, 7 years old. I don't remember it a lot, but I always remember those puffball mushrooms. And I'm always wondering. I'm like, because we had to take a book out because you if you don't, you pick the wrong mushroom, you're gonna keel over.
Yeah, and Billy did say that because of climate destruction, that we want the good mushrooms are gonna grow next to the bad ones, and we won't know the difference.
So with the climate destruction happening, and let's just say that the crops, let's say we lose at least 15 to 30% of our arable land because of the desertification that's happened over the last 2 years, with the dumb thing that's been going on all over the world. Like, how do we maintain our food level? Even because I mean, nobody's going to be able to stay in the cities unless they have a house and the backyard, and grow a garden, and that's still going to be iffy to begin with. So people are going to end up being put out into nature. I think Meyer even talked about this, where he said at a certain point, climate change will get so bad that we'll go into the forest, we'll step on each other, and then we'll forget all about everything that we did to get us there and go right back to the same old thing.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we're gonna have to follow the seasons.
um, well, I know that in the Appalachians right now, they're working on repairing the American chestnut tree, which I know that's going to be really good, not only for nuts, but just for all of nature. But what other regions, like what are good in the different regions that we might be able to eat? So if I'm going from here, and let's say I get up into like New York, Pennsylvania area, what do you how would an individual, or what would you suggest to an individual to find the the plants and the food that just kind of grows naturally there for everything else?
Well, yeah, I don't know. See, I live in Texas, so I know what grows here. But the thing is, I'm not gonna buy, blueberries that come from Maine at pay $8 a blueberry when I cannot grow them myself. I have to budget all of that. So what I'm saying is following the seasons on your local level. I'll give you an example. I was talking to my cousin on the phone, and she said, "You remember when we were back then? We had smoked salmon. It was on special occasion, just once in a while for Christmas. We had smoked salmon. Now you find smoked salmon everywhere, and we're gonna have to learn to do with less." So when you eliminate the things that are imported, that's gonna put the plate to a bare minimum.
Okay,
And
so
that's gonna take time to adjust. So whenever you go to New York, you're gonna need to know what grows in New York at that time of the year.
So it might behoove us to do some personal research
Yeah.
before, but a lot of what I think is going to happen. If you watch my video on foreclosures right now, there is somewhere around 5 to 10% of the outstanding mortgages are ready for foreclosure, but the banks don't want to do anything. And and some people are saying it's possibly for politics. I think it's more or less for greed and to be able to implement the CBDC. um but anyways.
I mean, the banks, if everybody is in the same boat, they cannot just evict everybody. I'm sure they're gonna have to do something.
Oh no, they will. I was in Portland in 2015. The soccer team just won a national championship. The property value in Portland went up astronomically. They evicted 2/3 of the city under no cause eviction so that they could sit there and repair all these buildings and raise the rent by 30%. Portland has the highest rate increase in the whole country because of that. And it just keeps going up because all the Californians with their money are moving in and pushing the natives out. That was eventually the reason to push me out of Oregon.
Yeah, this is what's happening here in Texas. This over construction, it's construction, construction, construction. I can't even get out of the house because I have to look at those pipes, and this it destroys, what I know about my neighborhood. And it's spreading, and I'm like, how are these people gonna pay for their houses if everything is continuously being built? I don't understand.
Well, a lot of that was already pre-financed before all this happened. So they went out, they got the finance, they got the money, and they can do the materials in the building, but at the end of the day, they're not going to be able to repay the loan. So either they'll abandon it and keep the money, or they'll build it and it'll just go into decreasing the overall value of homes.
Yeah, I remember in the 80s, right? They did that. People would leave the key on the counter and just walk out. I guess they're going to do the same thing now because they don't believe, I don't care if my house has value or not. I have a roof. I can grow some food. I mean, does everything have to be tied to a economic standpoint?
Well, it was more than that. So in 2008, with the housing crash, you probably heard me tell stories about taking over two houses using a process adverse possession. And the first house, I got to see all of the finance paperwork, and what it was it just they got a really good deal on a home, and then they had a balloon payment. But that's what evicted everybody out of their homes in 2008 was the balloon payments. You could go 5 years, and then at 5 years you had to pay off 30% of the mortgage, and people just didn't have the money, and that's what caused it all to go down. The guy was not even a documented immigrant, from what I understand, because I had to go do my research. Went down to Mexico, could never find the guy, so I took his house and decided to repair it.
Yeah, they give you incentive to do this, and then they take it away from you. But the people have to realize that it's an incentive. You don't have to follow a balloon payment. You can save your money until you have enough of a down payment. That's the standard way of doing it.
But this is all part of the process to actually fleece us as a society, because just like the law of thermodynamics, currency works the same way. Wealth is never lost; it's merely transferred. So in 2008, and even recently with everything that's going on, where is that wealth being transferred? Where is it being concentrated at? And these are schemes that are being used to convince the average Joe to be reckless and irresponsible, because they're being told that there's no consequences for their actions, because they're not the ones that are benefiting from it. It is those who can transfer the wealth to themselves.
Yeah,
So,
it's
but
it's a self-destructive system that we need to understand that we don't have to buy this system.
yeah, I think a lot of it goes into house. If you decide you don't want a house because you're never going to be able to afford one, and it doesn't make you less of a human being, but within our society, the way we treat people, it's not. It really, just like the video. I don't get your comments very often. Like like if there's a reply to a reply, like this morning I saw the video link that you put in there. That was a perfect example of what I've been trying to say, is that it's all designed. It's not like I rented when my son was born. My wife and I were in a luxury apartment. It's a luxury apartment. It's not meant to be lived in. It's meant for a showroom. But yet we as a society think that we want to live on the showroom, and it doesn't make any sense.
It's all on the outside, keeping up. I think in English you say keeping up with the Joneses.
Yes. Yeah, keeping status within society.
Everything is upside down. We need to put it back normal. We are no less human because we don't have 5,000 square feet home, and they push you, the system is made to say, you have a house, sell it, you can get a bigger one, and then a bigger one. I mean, it's a never ending cycle that takes you to your grave.
Yeah, my old man and I actually have the same conversation. He keeps going, well, I'm like, well, I only need maybe 2,000 viewers at that. I mean, that's more than enough for me. I don't need a lot, enough to be able to, get YouTube to pay me out. I don't need to be. He's like, well, why don't you go for 1 million? And I'm like, because I don't need to. He's like, but don't you want more money? I'm like, why do I want more money? It makes no sense. I'm gonna spin my wheels to have more money, to spin my wheels to have more money, to do nothing and to be where I was if I would have just had no money.
Well, you know what happened when I had a lot of money one time? I could not manage it. I was such a headache. I didn't know who my friends were. I didn't know. I gave it all away and I started from scratch again. So the people that I know that have a lot of money, they make the biggest mistakes, the stupidest things. They change cars every year. They do this. They do. It's not a way of living, and they end up with cancer.
Yeah,
It's
well,
unreasonable. I'm so happy with less. I can manage better. I have you know I, I just have everything I need.
it's
It's
less.
it's a very lonely position to have money.
I think it may be lonely. I mean, I've been all up and down the spectrum. I mean, I've met millionaires, billionaires, and stuff like. That's why when you were saying, sharing some stuff with me, I was like, okay, I'm used to meeting people that are, highly accredited, so on and so forth. But I think that really, it, to what money represents, what true wealth and money represents in society today, is more of a responsible soul than anything else. Because the whole reason why the system can make money off of us is because we are reckless and irresponsible. And so that's why when you get money, if you're not responsible, you're not going to be able to keep it. Because to be able to have something like that, and this is what I'm even learning from my stepmom, is just that it requires a certain level of responsibility. And if that's just not who you are, it should be the last thing that you're trying to go after. But so many people are raised to live in a limited liability system where there is no consequences for their actions and only an upside, that when they actually face the consequences of their actions, they're sitting there looking like, why are you mad at me? It was just a joke.
Yeah, it's a sad system. It doesn't have to be this way.
So
Um,
go ahead. You were about to say something.
we have to find our self-worth, because as you are doing, another thing I was going to tell you in your journey, we don't take anything with us.
Yeah, no.
So if we start with the end, that we came naked, we go back naked.
Well, I'm not walking around naked. I traumatized too many
No, no,
people.
mentally.
I'm just I'm just being funny. Um,
So we don't take, if we start with the end, that, at the end, I don't take anything with me. What is it that I take?
your knowledge, your wisdom, your experiences.
Yeah,
And that
experience,
essentially,
evolution, and love.
and
Love is all you have in the end, but it takes training to understand those concepts.
I still I concede to Meyer when he says that the Earth human being does not understand love at all. So I don't really think that I understand it, but I've always said that the key to life, or at least the purpose of life, is the relationships in which you have and the wisdom gained from the experiences, because that's the true wealth in life. And I think so many people miss that because they're chasing the material, because we're in a material world.
Yeah. So if we start from the end, then you say, okay, I don't take anything with me. Well, what can I fill up between the time I'm born to the time I die? What is the gap here? What do I do with this?
Yeah, well, he who has the most stuff when he dies wins. So,
Well, you don't, you know, once you are dead, the body ceases and your spirit form is what remains, right?
correct. And then
Okay.
it comes back, jumps back in, and starts it all over again.
But in the process, whatever you ended up with at the time of your death is what you reincarnate with. So if you are on level 1, let's say, I'm just giving you an example, you come back to level 1, you continue, you know,
So
you
are the lessons in a sequential order, or is it kind of like a level? You have to get this many points in order to reach the next level.
so the way the evolution works, we have 7 belts. Within those 7 belts is 7 belts, and its creation is set up in a evolutionary system. Right now we are in the rational system, which is level 2. We have the primitive system, then we have the rational system, and I can email you the PDF of that too.
I would like it, please.
Yeah, the I just had it. Make a note of this. So in the rational system, that's where our consciousness is. We're starting to develop reason. So what do we do with this gap, right? Those 70 years, 77 years, 78 years, whatever short life that we have, we need to fill it with something.
Mm-hmm.
Filling up with getting 7 Porsches and 10 houses is not going to do it. So we have to replace that with something. And that's the spiritual teaching. That is what you get. So on a daily basis, you can practice them. They're very handy because you can take them anywhere. You can do them at any time. One of the things I was going to recommend to you is the
77
77 the 77th affirmation.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's a little booklet. It's also um, on the Future of Mankind website. You don't have to buy the booklet.
Well, the booklet would probably. I'm a physical person, so yeah, the booklet would probably. So the 77 affirmations, and I can get that. I can get that on Future of Mankind
I got it from FIGU Canada.
from FIGU Canada. Okay,
Yeah,
I will
but I
look
can
them up.
order one for you because I have to order a new book that came out. So I'm going to order one. So I'm going to order from FIGU Canada. So don't worry about it. I will email it to you.
Oh, well, hey, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, because I'm going to get a stack in case somebody needs them. It's one affirmation, Jason, can last you a whole day.
Okay.
So let's, of course, as you know, it's got the German and it's got the English version. So maybe for the today's call, maybe you could read one of them.
Okay.
And that way you'll see what they are about. It's not like I'm it's a different kind of affirmation than what we are used to. So I'm gonna put one up.
In order to live in today's world, I must be strong and develop tenacity with regard to my consciousness and my intellect. I mean, that's a lot to unpack. That's it. These are things that are going to get your spirit to really truly think through, isn't it?
Yeah. So you must be strong. We must be strong. That doesn't mean fighting and all of that. It's probably strong in staying on the right path, not deviating too far from the path,
Yeah, it
making
goes.
good choices with good people. Like
Uh,
you had a video about that, Jason.
yeah, a friend of mine used to say, "Be a man of steel, yet a man of velvet."
You know, be tenacious when you say, no, I cannot help this person because that person did not help you. You have to be tenacious on that. It has a lot of meanings.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. That will be I know that in the back of my brain I could kind of feel my mind already pondering.
And
So,
you need to be strong to not fall for temptation.
yeah, that is
You need to
temptations
be
are.
strong for, you know, taking care of our body and learning what love is. And we need to be strong for those are the things we have to do.
Okay.
I mean, it's one of them, there is there is many of them, here's another one.
The more tranquil and tenacious I become, the more I cope with difficulties. Um, this is using the law of attraction in a lot of ways, isn't it? By stating it, by first reading it and then stating it, you're putting it out into the universe, therefore it becomes attracted to you.
But not in the sense that you don't impregnate with it, that you don't embed it. The law of attraction is just pure repetition without your consciousness truly believing and embedding and making permanent changes in your personality and in your consciousness. So those things do not work. It doesn't have a profound transformation in your psyche. It's just babbling.
Oh, okay. So it's words without meaning.
It has absolute no value. It's
Okay.
actually dangerous because you are developing an unrealistic view of reality.
Yeah, and that can be very detrimental to people.
Yeah.
Yeah, not fun.
Here, when you say the more tranquil and tenacious I become, you have to experience the tranquility. You cannot just repeat it. It has to sink in. What does tranquility means? To
And
be
that,
observant, right?
yeah,
You define that tranquility.
wow. You're really into, like, I'm fully into Meyer material. I mean, it's kind of like the way that I've lived my life. But as I always say, there are people that I consider true Christians if Christianity were real, and in the same way, not in the same way, but in a similar sense, it's like you are probably the one of the better representations of the spiritual side of the whole of the Meyer community that I've gotten to reach. So I gotta say, I really I hope the viewers enjoy this, because for me, I actually enjoy the spiritual aspect of it, because it's part of honing in your character about who you are, who you want to be, because even these affirmations, in a lot of ways, you're telling yourself what it is that you're setting the standard moving forward. You're setting the expectations for what is coming in the future, which is that I am strong, and that I'm going to that I'm going to hold strong in what it is that I do. In the same way, am I on a right track?
And you have more joy because the next time you see a sunset, that sunset's going to look 50 times more beautiful.
Yes.
And that's what you take. The you have a sunset right now behind you. You know, when you do your meditation, the blue comes out more blue, the orange is more orange. It's real alive in ways that you cannot describe with words.
I can kind of understand where you're coming from, just because I've had an experience that has made colors way more vibrant for me as life has moved on. So I can, yeah, because I mean, even for me, the whole reason why I chose this background was because of the blue. Even though it contrasted really well with the orange, it was the blue that attracted
It's
me.
it's a blue you cannot describe. It's so blue, so beautiful. You
Yeah.
have to experience the blue. You you know, you can paint it. That's one of the things the Pleiadians do, is they only paint what reality is to try to mimic as much as possible reality.
Why?
They have a different, because that's all we have is reality. We don't have anything else, you know.
But what about like our creatives? I mean, creatives kind of see outside of reality. They allow us to find fantasy, and I think that fantasy in some ways has a place. It's not part of how we govern ourselves, but it has a place in teaching us morals and lessons.
I mean, fantasies, they are fantasies.
Hmm. But
I'm a,
look at the movie Avatar. It was written by an environmentalist to kind of show what we do to the environment, and the blue people, I forget what their names were. They were there to represent nature and man's connection to nature versus what man was doing, which is come in resources and looked at itself as above nature. And so in that fantasy, it was talking about a conversation that we're having on a grand scale as a globe, which is more important, nature or man, who is superior, nature or man. And so as we've gotten away from nature, we realize that we got to go back to nature. And I think that, so I'm just they don't practice fantasy. I think that in some ways,
but
wouldn't
you
that?
need to practice it. If I watch a movie, when I go back to my backyard, it is not at all what the movie is about, right? I mean, it's a fantasy world. It's not reality.
Okay.
Reality is we have overpopulation, we are destroying ourselves, we have climate destruction. You know, it's not at all what the screen on the TV is.
Well, of course. I mean, yeah, the world, we try to live in a world of illusion, but I'm gonna have to ponder that one for a while, because I know there's a lot of stuff that Meyer said, and it's like at first I'm like, I don't think so. I sat there, I ponder it, and I'm like, okay, I get it now.
Remember, we only have 70 years to fill, so you want to see as much as possible the real things, you know. Not, I don't watch TV, so I'm never good with those stuff. I'm
Uh,
not a sci-fi fiction, and I like my consciousness and keep with it. And I don't know. I just, but anyway, okay. The other thing to do during those 70 years, you know, Billy says that if you can spend, dedicate 3 minutes on each hour to creation.
okay, so 3 minutes. So what is that, like 5% of your time?
Well, every hour you just take a break for 3 minutes.
Okay,
And
so wait, okay, run that through me again. So I thought you were supposed to be thinking about creation. So but you're saying take a break, kind of.
just dedicate 3 minutes of your day on each hour to creation.
Okay, and how would you do that?
So, you know, for 3 minutes, you remember, oh, it's 10 o'clock and I need to do my 3 minutes. You could do a Nocodemian prayer.
Okay.
You can pray to your spirit. The one I do is the one of the Nocodemian prayers. And it's just, you have a little flashcard and you just sit down, and it takes about 3 minutes to read it. You just read. It's like taking a break, you know. It's like taking a siesta for the Spanish people, but you do it with your consciousness.
I'm gonna have to do the whole card thing because I would have never really thought about it, but with the way that I'm traveling, I think I might have to do that card thing. I'm gonna adopt that.
A flashcard. Um, I have a whole Rolodex. One moment, let me bring it to you. I have a whole Rolodex of all the Billy's quotes and flashcards and things that I need to work on. So when I study the Billy material, there is something that I reject first because I'm not ready, but I'm make sure to write it down. So and then I have a little thing like this, and I put it on my desk as a reminder. And it may take me a week or a month to work on just one item. Because as I walk away, as I do things, I have a visual of it. And this is one that I need that I have to remember or work on. For example, the one I'm doing this week is what effects does the truth have? What are the benefits to having the truth? Right?
Yeah, I mean the benefits are like the truth is probably the most important thing that you could have in life because without the truth, you
And what
can't
are the
make an appropriate
benefits?
decision.
What are the benefits to it? Why?
Um, you're gonna be able to navigate yourself in harmony with whatever it is that you're trying to do.
So I wrote down that it gives us freedom from false teaching,
That's that's part of it. Yeah, I could see that.
exploitation,
Yeah, I could see that.
restriction, and stagnation of our spirit and consciousness.
Confusion even.
Stagnation and restriction.
Uh, I could see that. Yeah, because if you don't have the truth, you can't make a decision. If you can't make a decision based upon the facts, you're never going to end up in the right spot. So, quite frankly, the truth is what keeps you safe.
Yeah, and you're not being exploited.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. But the thing is if the person doesn't understand the truth, they won't know that they're being exploited.
Well, yeah, you have to find the truth first, but once you find it, you have to see what are the benefits, right?
It's kind of like Plato's cave, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a VIP treatment, you know. It's a, you know, I told Michael Horn one time, I wrote on the blog, I said, you know, with Billy, you know, you can, you know, when you take the bus, Jason,
Hmm.
what happens? You get on the bus, some people get on, some people get off, you're crammed, you don't care who the next person is to you, you don't care if they even learn along the way, what destination, if they get off too soon or too late, right?
Hmm.
With Billy, it's a limousine service. You get into the limousine, you drive yourself with a driver, which is Billy. He's the prophet of the new times. He tells you, he gives you the recipe, the formula, and you reach your destination unobstructed with anything else. It's a VIP treatment.
But there's a double-edged sword to that, and even though, well, I'll just part of my life I spent as a Christian, so I'm going to pull this from a Christian talk that I heard, but it makes perfect sense. So Mormons believe that when God was coming up with the plan, that he stood up and said, "This is my plan." Who will who or no he stands up and he says, "Who has a plan to be able to get all my children down to earth and back?" And Lucifer stands up and says, "Well, I'll do it, and you won't lose a single soul, and I will tell them all, and not one of them will have choice." and the glory will be mine. And then Emmanuel, or Jesus, stands up and he says, well, you know what? I will go down, I will do it, but the choice will be theirs. I will sacrifice myself for them, and the glory be yours. And that is the reason why, Jesus was chosen over Lucifer, and kind of what started the war of words, and so on and so forth. And in the moral of that story really is that you have to have choice, because for example, for me, when you can tell me, well, if you do this, this is going to happen. And yes, you're right. You're 100% correct. But as part of my overall evolution, even though you've told me, I still have to experience it. I still have to go through that, because you can tell me something, but without the experience, there is no wisdom. So in a lot of ways, Meyer is kind of the limousine driver, but at the same time, you're only
Okay.
going to move a little bit at a time. Does that make
No,
sense?
not the driver. He gives you the recipe. He's the limousine. He puts you in the limousine. He's not gonna drive it for you. You have to drive
Oh,
yourself.
okay.
But my English is not as good. So what I wanted to say that with Billy giving you the right information in a way, he drives you to your destination.
Okay, I could see that. Yeah, and the destination being experience, which
Which is,
creates
yeah,
wisdom.
is the recipe how to do everything.
Yeah, because I don't know, maybe I misunderstand what he says, but I think in a lot of what he says is that everybody has to experience everything from every angle at every point.
And that's one
And
of the things he tells you.
and so, like, it's just like my parents keep telling, well, I warned you, I told you not to do it. It's like, yeah, but I wouldn't learn anything.
Right. And that's one of the things he tells you. You have to look at everything from every angle. This is why you practice pure observation.
So I know that we're coming. Did you have anything more that you wanted to add on the nutrition
The
side?
only thing I wanted to tell you, which is a little bit different, would be fasting. Fasting is also very healthy because fasting rejuvenates the cells of the body. They eat when you deprive the body of food for a certain number of hours, the bad cells get eaten up by the good cells. So the bad cells are gone, the good cells remain, but you also develop more room in the body for the good cells to multiply. There's only so much room in the body that the cells can grow. So you got to remove the bad ones and open the door for those to multiply. Those are the benefits of fasting. This is why it's called rejuvenation. We will do another thing on fasting another day.
Okay, yeah, because I was gonna say I've done fasting, but it was more part of like a religious thing than
Yeah,
just doing it.
we will have to do the health benefits. The last thing, and then after that you can open your box, please. Is Michael Horn sells on his website the Modifium.
What is that? Uh, so is that similar to the other thing that you showed me?
Yeah, it's similar. This one is particularly good because in case of a nuclear war, this removes all the things we get in the body from breathing a nuclear war attack. It's made from algae, specific algae. So if we were to get to that level, this is what I keep. And you don't have to eat the capsule, you know. You can open the capsule and put it in the water. But
Okay.
it has been documented and researched that this is the only thing that rejuvenates or rebuilds the body from a nuclear attack.
Okay, so yeah, I've seen him talk about it, but I don't remember him saying that part of it, because that would have piqued my interest a little bit more. Um, but okay, so it has the natural health benefits, plus in an NBC attack, this will be kind of your secondary shield.
That's how they heal the people in Chernobyl.
Ah, okay. So okay, so that was. Did you want to say anything else?
No.
Okay, so I want to go through some of the items in this box because when you sent me the last box, I had questions. I didn't realize. I thought you sent me candles. I'm like, why is she sending me candles? And then when I open it up, I'm like, oh, it's jelly. So and then some of the other things I want to make sure that if there's any questions that I could ask. Okay, so multigrain. These multigrain here, it won't show up on mine, but anyways, what this is snack food or is this a meal preparation?
It could be the bread. We spoke about whole wheat bread.
Mm-hmm.
If you are not able to buy bread, this is the best substitute. It's 100% pure grain. It's got no addictive, no preservative, no uh, no uh, no chemicals. So with that, you can put, anything on the top.
Yeah, and it has what 35 calories per slice and 12 grams of whole grains per slice. That's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's
Okay.
reasonable. It's economical. It's not expensive. And do you see how the packaging is very simple?
Yeah, where would you purchase something like this at? Is it online or are you purchasing it in
No,
a store?
this is one thing I'm going to tell you that I wanted to add. Um, okay, do you remember that we have to say goodbye to 90% of all the
Mm-hmm.
stuff? So now you need to think, well, where can I get my things, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you enter into a big grocery store, you're gonna have to get rid of you will only be able to use 2 aisles or maybe 3 aisles out of the entire grocery store. So what I recommend you to do is that
Mm-hmm.
before you enter a city, you get on the map and you look for specific stores. And they are actually cheaper food stores. They are not the brand name food stores. One of them are Arabic food stores.
Okay, like I know in Oregon they have something like the International Food Market.
Yeah, those
Okay.
are always cheaper. Or Indian food stores.
Okay, yeah, or the Indian, the Chinese. So start shopping in the foreign parts of town.
Yeah, that's it. So you want to, if you go to a city, make sure there is one of those stores there because that's what you need to do. That's what you need to shop now. You are rebuilding. You say bye bye, America, hello,
The
something
rest of
else.
the world,
You
yeah.
can't, yeah, okay.
Okay, so the next one is the Ulker tea biscuit. Okay.
Okay,
Now this looks like something I'd want to dip in water or
okay. So part of your journey is to also allow yourself a break. You
okay.
can't be on the go all the time without having a break in your day. It could be, in England, they call it tea time. But for you, it could just be to sit down, have a tea or a glass of water, and a little snack around 4 o'clock. And you can have a date or a cookie, something to give yourself a treat. Because we're not machines and we forget to take a break.
Yeah, and that's got to be my biggest problem, and I think I've even stated it's just yeah, I like to go 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 go. It's like oh, even when I get behind the wheel in the car, it's like okay, it's like the whole world stops until I get to my destination, and then I can resume living again.
You have to make a special occasion for a break in your day. It could be 1 hour, you forget the computer, you forget everything. You give a 1 hour of vacation mentally and physically, and you do that by having a tea or a glass of water or a juice or a lemon water or anything, and a light cookie or a date.
Okay, so the next one is Goya Premium Bonito. Um, this right here is this like tuna?
Okay, what does it say? It said oysters.
Uh, and Acete del Olivia.
Okay, so this is part of what we spoke earlier with the seafood. Yeah, see,
Okay.
since you're going to be traveling, you won't be able to go all the time to the grocery store every day. You're going to need those the sardines, the salt area. So
Okay.
I put one of those cans because as you add it to the other ingredients I gave you, you'll have the complete diet.
And speaking of sardines,
I put you some sardines. That's
Okay,
good.
so I gotta ask, I've never had sardines before. I see one was with the vegetables and tomato sauce, and one's with vegetable oil and lemon. Okay, how do you eat these? So, because I mean, this is gonna be a challenge for me, but I want to at least try it.
Simple. Let's go over the other ingredients and we will have the recipe at the end.
Okay, so oh, you sent me some almond butter. Awesome. This has got honey in it.
Right. This is good for breakfast.
Um,
Peanut butter, almond butter. I think, of course, almond takes more water to process. So
so am I
you
gonna
probably,
wanna am I gonna wanna squeeze it and like mash it up to get it like, 'cause does it separate?
it's already ready to go.
Okay, and so this would be like on a cracker or a sandwich.
The cracker I gave you,
Okay.
or you can eat it with celery, or you can eat it, you can put it in your oatmeal, you can put it in anything.
Oh wow, green lentils. 2 liters, 2 pounds. Okay, so I know that the packaging is important, so I hope that everybody can see this. Okay,
Exactly.
and so lentils is a great source of protein, right?
Yeah, your lentils is, if you don't have your carrots and an onion or anything with you, you always have lentils.
Okay, and how do I make these? Because I
I'm going to show you, but I want to show you right now. Look at how much lentils you get for $4.
yeah, I know this would probably survive like 4 days, right?
More, 3 months, because I'm going to show you how to do them.
So this package would last me 3 months.
And
Open it
you,
and just
for
over time.
one person, you only need a third of a cup. It gives a lot of food.
Okay, and these lentils are these is this the stuff that turns out almost looks like pea soup?
The green lentils do. Yeah.
Okay, these are oh yeah, these are green lentils. Okay, I've had them once in my life. Oh, I see something in here I'm gonna really like. Boiled oats, whole grain, Bob's Red Mill.
Okay. So so this is, you remember when you spoke about getting the maximum fats and maximum vitamins in the morning before you get going?
Uh-huh.
You at night, Jason, you soak 1 cup of oats in water overnight. It will, because you may not have boiling water, you may not have ways to cook, but if you soak them in the morning, they will be soft for you already. At that moment in the morning, Jason, this is when you add yogurt, blueberries, some brown sugar or maple syrup, or any kind of
I could even
syrup,
add the butter,
or,
right? The almond
and
butter.
butter, and you make your breakfast. If you
Okay.
do that with yogurt, you will be full until 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
But well, I'm burning like 4,000 calories a day. I would be
Well, on the light days, the days you
yeah.
eat light. But
Okay,
you
yeah.
can eat that with your peanut butter. Make yourself a very nice big breakfast.
And one thing I want to point out here for the viewers is it also says non-GMO verified. So that means that this has no GMOs. This is all natural. Now, what is the difference between this and the Quaker Oats oatmeal that I'm already eating?
In this case, it was the price. The Quaker were like $9, and this one was $6.
Well, I mean, other than price, I mean, so they're basically the
Oh,
same
I
thing.
didn't. I'm sure Quaker is very good too.
Well, I'm just saying it's like because they just say it's oatmeal. This says rolled oats, so I was thinking there was a difference.
Rolled oats is because it's less processed. I would have to
Oh,
compare.
oh boy. Oh, yay! Awesome. And this is another 2 pound bag
Two
of
pound bag.
rice, short grain, repackaged only, may contain impurities, but
Do you imagine how much you get? How much was that bag?
this is $2.89.
Do you imagine how much food you have for $2.89?
Oh yes, I know. Between this and the rolled oats and the lentil, I mean that should give me 2 weeks worth of food minimum.
Oh, let me give you the recipe now.
Well, hold
Okay,
on. There's
what
still
else
some
do you
more
have?
stuff in here. Let's see. There's more butter. Do I have? Okay, more butter. Moroccan sardines in vegetable oil.
Okay, I gave you more sardines. That's your source of salt and zinc and selenium.
Okay. These right here, what are these?
Those are nougats. It's a delicatessen in Europe. It's made with marzipan.
What is that?
It's like an almond paste.
Yeah, my oh man, my dad and we decided to try some and he absolutely loved them. So
Oh,
I
good.
liked him. I was like, this is interesting. It's like I thought I would call it like taffy or something like that. Okay, so the next thing in here, Bombay, Bahrani, recipe seasoning mix. I guess this is for seasoning mix for meat and potato layered pilaf. So a
Okay,
rice.
so basically what I gave you there is because I had it at home for myself, is the spices. Do you remember when I mentioned earlier you
Yeah, the
need your
spices.
turmeric, your cardamom, your cumin, your all of your spices. India does very good job in mixing a little bit of each in just one bag. That one bag has so much spices, it will last you a month.
Oh wow. This right here is better than so I paid like close to $100 for a week's supply of food from My Patriot Supply of like 30-year freeze dried food. And I don't know if this stuff would last 30 years on a shelf, but I mean, quite frankly, if you're prepping for SHTF, you should be eating like it's SHTF.
Mhm.
And this right here, I mean, I could eat on this. This is a budget for me that I could work with because
See?
I'm sitting there thinking this is going to be expensive and how much money am I going to have to raise just to be able to eat while I'm on the road? And I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, now this is palatable. So,
Everything is upside down, Jason. We're just turning the thing to the correct order. Now, Jason,
yes,
what
ma'am.
we're going to do with this food, I'm going to give you the recipe right now. It is
Okay.
so simple, you will enjoy it. Okay? All right. So, for one person, let's say for yourself, you're going to put 1 cup of rice and 1 handful of lentils.
Okay.
Okay? We're going to do the bare minimum recipe that gives you the vitamins you need.
Okay, good.
We're going to soak, you remember it says the rice has impurities.
Mhm.
That is correct because you always wash the rice at least 5 times before you cook it.
Okay, and wash. Okay, so I'm going to have a lot of water
No,
around.
no. So you have 1 cup of rice, you just fill up a little bit of water enough. You let it soak for 30 minutes. The dirt is going to go away because, as you know, dirt
Yeah,
goes in the
settle.
bottom. Then clean it with your fingers. You pour the water out just a little bit. Then you put a little bit more water. You clean it with your fingers until the water, you will see the water is white. Until the water becomes more transparent. Then you know the rice is clean.
Okay, good to know. So I'm gonna have to watch, and that process should take what, about 15 minutes?
Yeah, the first thing you do when you start preparing your camp for cooking is you soak your rice.
Yeah, well, um, for me, sometimes because of the allergic reaction I had, and I think it also might have been because I'm having too much protein in my diet, as there'll be times I'll be going along, then all of a sudden it's like, boom, I'm hungry, and if I don't eat in the next 5 minutes, I'm gonna be throwing up.
I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. Hold on a second. So,
Oh.
right now we're just setting up camp. You put your rice, before you do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have a little pot of water. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
a pot to cook with.
I got
and
that.
a little bit of water, and your gas little thing.
Hmm.
That is all you need. Now, you need a little bit of oil because without that, it's difficult. So you can do coconut oil, buy 1 jar of coconut oil. You can also buy this because it doesn't require refrigeration. This is clarified butter.
Clarified butter. Okay, and I would use that in a lot of things. Is it how? What's the weight on it?
This is a big one, okay? But you can buy small version. Clarified butter. This is 13 ounces,
13 ounces. Okay, that's not bad.
but it's glass, huh? So you have to buy one of a plastic one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to find a plastic one. I'm sure I'll be able to find one at like Trader Joe's or something.
Yeah, small one or at those Indian stores or Arabic stores.
Yeah.
It's no refrigeration.
Okay, that's extremely good because um uh like butter fried eggs is like a comfort food for me. So that would be perfect.
If not, coconut oil. You buy a jar of coconut. You just need, a couple tablespoon, 1 tablespoon.
Let me ask you a question because I learned this from some friends a few years back that that like here in America we do all these oils and they're actually really bad for you. Our ancestors used to cook with lard, and part of the thing about the lard is it actually lubes the end of your nerve ending. So like a lot of these people that have like not necessarily sciatica, but things that are similar to it as far as nerve issues, by just introducing lard into your diet when you start cooking, it's supposed to kind of reduce all of that inflammation and stuff. So how close to lard is that butter?
Uh, um, this clarified butter is with cows. It's dairy.
Okay, so it's buttermilk. Okay, or butter. Okay.
It's just non-processed butter. It's more. Remember, we want to stay closer to nature.
Hmm.
When it's clarified butter, it's less processed, so it doesn't look like the butter we buy. It's
Okay.
yellow, first of all.
Yeah. So is that gonna have the same amount of salt that regular butter has, like the imperial?
Um, in terms of salt, probably not. I think it's unsalted.
Okay.
I I always add my salt anyway. Just
Okay. But yeah, wow. So how would I want to? So how am I gonna make these sardines? So
okay.
I
So
do the
we
rice and the lentil. I wash the rice, and so a handful of lentil, a cup of rice, and then I
okay.
can soak my oats, and then I got the sardines.
Okay, so now we're doing dinner time. You're
Hmm.
setting up camp. You soaking your rice. You're gonna make your little fire.
Hmm.
Now those spices I gave you,
Hmm.
they only release their flavors and potency and vitamins when mixed with oil. So that means the first thing you do in your pot is melt or warm up the oil.
Okay.
See, a lot of times in Western cooking, we warm up the oil and then we put the vegetables and then later on we add the spices. The spices, when they are dry, the vitamins are inside the shell. We need to bring them out. The way you do that is by soaking the spices first inside the oil.
Uh, yeah. Have you tried cooking with essential oils?
No, not yet.
I've tried it. You usually got to use like if you're doing like Italian seasoning, you want to do like 5 drops of rosemary and 5 drops of thyme and stuff like that. And yeah, you put it in there with your oil. So you put a little bit of coconut oil, or not coconut oil, but whatever your oil you're going to use, you put like 5 drops in there, and then that will actually get in there and it'll be part of your overall flavor. But you got to really let the oil seep into it so that the flavor gets in there. Is it the same way with this spice here that you're talking about?
In this case, no, because the heating up the oil will automatically bring the flavors out. Because now you're mixing oil with the spice and heat. Uh, you know, that's why when you go to somebody's house, sometimes it smells so good because the spices are releasing their flavors, and that comes into contact with hot butter or hot oil. Water won't do it.
Okay, this is okay. Yeah.
Okay,
This
so now
go ahead.
your spices are being warmed up, right?
Hmm.
At this stage, you're gonna add your lentils just with the spices. You
Okay.
have one handful of lentils, drop that in the pot. At this stage, if you have an onion, if you have one carrot, if you have any vegetable you have, you just add to it. It's gonna saute with the lentils and the spice. Then you rinse your rice remove as much water as possible, you know, because you know how water reacts to oil, right? It becomes bubbly, it splits. You're gonna add the rice to your pot, mix it in a little bit like this,
Hmm.
and then for 1 cup of ice, you put 2 cups of water. So it's double.
Okay.
Then you put 2 cups of water, mix it in, close the lid, wait 20 minutes.
Okay.
20 minutes later, don't open it. 20 minutes later, wow, the dish is made. At this stage, you can add the sardines a little bit, you know, mix it with your rice. You can add a piece of meat. It's already cooked. You can add oysters. You can add an egg, break an egg with it. Your base is done.
Am I cooking the sardine though, or is it
No,
getting?
you're just warming them up.
Okay, so the sardine isn't going in the pot at all.
You can cook the rice with the sardine at the same time if you want a lot of flavor and if you want the whole dish to be with the sardines. If not, you cook the rice separately and add the sardines as you go, as you eat it, as like a meat next to it.
Okay, so like, are these sardines that they have skin on them and everything? Do I chop it up like a fork, or do I gotta skin them? Like, what do I do?
No, no, not do anything. They're tiny little fish ready to eat. Remember, there's salt, there's iron in the bones. You need all of that.
Okay, so basically, okay, I figure out how to do this now.
Just
Okay,
leave
I
the
got
whole
it.
thing.
I think I figured this out. It's gonna take an experiment. I'm gonna try this before I go out because I want to make sure that,
Exactly.
yeah.
Give yourself 20 days to play with it. But remember, your rice and your lentils are your base. After that, you can put any vegetable you have in the house. Huh? One carrot, it's plenty for you. One potato, chop it up, put it in there. Anything you have can go with those two. Just cover it up. It's delicious.
Oh wow. Okay.
Okay.
That. Go ahead.
So now, you say when you are hungry on the road, you need to stop and eat right there.
Hmm.
Well, whatever you cook, you cannot eat it in one sitting. It's impossible. It's too much food. So when it's cold, you're gonna take that cold thing, you're gonna make a ball with it, you know, with the rice and the
Hmm.
lentils. You're gonna put in a tiny Ziploc bag or in a little bag. You're gonna, you know, make a bowl. It stays at room temperature. When you are needing to eat right away, you have your bowl of rice and lentils and you start eating like that.
Okay. I will have to, yeah, good thing I have in my gear. I have a bunch of Ziplocs. I knew I would find a use for 'em.
Once your food is cooked, it stays 2, 3 days. Of course, not on the 90, 100 degrees, but at least overnight. So that means the next day you can eat it because we are so spoiled with refrigeration. everything goes in the fridge right away. But when it's cooked like that, you can definitely keep it, you cook at night. The next, if you don't have time to eat breakfast, you can eat that in the morning. Or if you're hungry while on the way, like around 11 o'clock, you have a snack to eat without going to the store, without buying junk food, without wasting more money. And you eat potatoes in the morning. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, okay. I love potatoes. I prefer raw potatoes over cooked potatoes though.
What I'm saying, it's okay. You mash them, put them with the rice, lentils. It could be green lentils, yellow lentils. You can do garbanzo beans. You can also do it with kidney beans. You can. I give you lentils because they're cute and light, and for $4, I want to show you. If you take 1 teaspoon or one third of a cup for you, is plenty for a whole day meal.
Well, yeah, and the thing is I was worried about weight because, you know, um, I essentially got to keep my gear at 35 pounds or less, and that includes food, tent, shelter, clothes, my tools to fix my bike, and all that stuff. So I'm trying to keep it, but this right here, I'm probably going to end up taking out a lot of my year supply food that I bought and putting this in place of that because this is gonna, yeah, I'm now that I understand this, I really appreciate this because now I actually have a visual of what I can do, and I could buy all this for $10 and be good for a while.
Yeah. So now go ahead and repeat to me the recipes so that I know that you know.
Okay, so then I'm gonna want to put my oil in, and then I'm gonna want to put my spices in, and then
You
I'm gonna,
warm up the oil, right?
yes, I'm gonna
Okay.
want to put my I'll warm up my oil. I'll put my spices in. Let it aerate for a minute, and then I will. Am I supposed to wash the lentil?
A little bit, but not necessary.
Okay,
They're
so
not as
I'll
thick.
lightly wash the lentil. So the lentil will go in next, and then after the lentil, then the rice, and then the sardines are on the outside, and I just kind of, you know, uh, stick it in there like a stick the sardine in the rice ball and just down the hatch.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
because I've always wondered, because you always hear people talk about sardines, but I've never, it's usually a running joke on like about pizza and stuff. So,
Yeah. You'll develop the taste. Once you have the base, okay, you can also add, remember, onions. Onions are very healthy for you.
oh, I love onions. Are
And
red onions better than yellow onions? Because I prefer red onions, and
yeah,
I'm trying to get my stepmom to understand that red onions are better than yellow onions just because they taste better.
red onions is better when they are raw.
Hmm.
Yellow onions better when you cook them.
Yeah, they seem to be more like a cooking type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Red onions raw is so, it cleans up your sinuses. And
Huh.
so you can also put a bell pepper or, one vegetable. You won't have to spend a fortune, but you'll have it. And you don't have to, be deprived of food because you are on those roads that are difficult to navigate. You want to not be around those roads. You want to be outside as much as possible and travel. Passing by is probably all you want to do on the roads.
Yeah, and my biggest concern was for me was like, again, am I gonna have to spend this much money on food, and then how much am I gonna be tied to a city that's gonna restrict me? And again, you hit the nail on the head. I really appreciate it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I did not realize how easy this would be. I thought it would be much harder to have a decent diet. And I mean, all of this stuff can be quickly managed, and even the crackers with butter, that's great for a snack along the way because I'm supposed to have somewhere around 250 calories about every hour. So I'm spending 500 on the bike. I'm supposed to eat like 250 minimum, and then I'm supposed to make up most of it at like lunch or dinner.
Do you like dates? Did you like the dates I sent you?
I haven't eaten them yet. I
Those
haven't.
are sugary, filling, fiber, everything. A date, poof, with a tea, you are going to be full. Like you're gonna give those things to the body. A date
Yeah,
is very healthy.
That's the one thing I noticed when I ate right on my ride is how full I was. Like how much you have to eat, how full you are. And it's like, and you think, oh my God, am I overeating? And it's like, no, your body's gonna use that up.
The other thing you need to do is eat when you are hungry. A lot of people travel and they skip meals.
That's an issue that I had the first time was recognizing when I was hungry. Because when I'm in a go mode, when I'm even when I own my business, I was out in the field, you don't have time to eat. I mean, it's quickly like stop by McDonald's or Taco Bell, grab something off the dollar menu and quickly run out the door because that's the type of busy I'm used to being. And so you don't really think about stopping to eat, and you eat a big breakfast, and if you have time you have maybe an even bigger lunch, uh, or you would just you just go without for the day.
You have to make eating a special occasion on when you're on the go. You have to sit down. You have to have your good food, even if it's little. It has to be good and a variety. You have to. What I like to do is eat in silence, because when you eat in silence, the vitamins go even further. You don't just flush it and poop it out or go to the bathroom, right? You when you eat in silence, every ounce of your body receives it all the way to the nails, the extremities of the fingers. So
Okay.
when I eat in silence without the telephone or the TV or anything, you have a lot more. The vitamins are doing triple the job.
Okay. So that'll be, I don't really talk anyways, not when I'm by myself.
No, go to a campsite or on the picnic area and watch the car go by or eat in front of a cow. A cow is always, a cow is always ruminating, right? When I see a cow, I do my affirmation because we have to do affirmations all day long. And I prefer to hang around with the cows because I'm like, I do my affirmations. It's just a lot more fun. But
Hmm.
uh, but yeah, avoid the pollution because you are rebuilding yourself. And once you adapt to a new system, you're going to start rejecting it. Your body is not going to want a Taco Bell anymore. You're going to throw up just looking at it. But it takes time.
Well, I've noticed that even with my stepmom, she's my dad. He's one of those people that he wants all the junk and none of the consequences, and so my stepmom has got him on a paleo diet because he wants his meat and so on and so forth. But yeah, even I've noticed because I eat what they eat, and when they go and they order Chinese, it'll make my stomach upset for a couple of days. Or if we go out to McDonald's or anywhere out to eat, it seems like the more you get used to the natural foods, the second you get off that, your body just like it will kick your butt.
But once you start putting those spices with the oil in the house, your dad's going to switch. Don't tell him anything. See, let him come to you. You
Yeah.
go, man, that smells good. What are you doing?
Oh yeah, of course. I'm sure he will. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the show, and I wanted to have a couple of minutes to chat with you at the end. But all right, everyone, thank you for joining us. This has been my special guest, Brigitte, and I hope you enjoyed her as much as I have. I hope you've learned as much as I have, and we will see you guys on the next episode of Hobo Prepper. And